Hey everyone, and welcome to this solo edition of Comics for the Multiverse. I don't know if did I think of a name last time? I can't remember. But I'm going to be talking about Firefly issue 2 by Greg Pak and Dan McDaid. I talked about issue 1 last month, and we set things up. The Unificators were after Mal and Zoe because they're war criminals, and the gang had taken a job escorting these pilgrims, essentially, across this planet, this rough planet. Which they had to do because the ship's buggered and they need parts, they need money, so that's why it's happening. So continuing from there, issue 2 kind of delves into this a little bit. Mainly, a lot of it focuses on the reaction of the other characters and how they feel about what they've heard, right? And some of it's kind of amusing, some of it's kind of emotional, some of it's kind of funny, some of it's kind of sad. We have Jane, for example, who's very funny in the sense that he is excited by the fact that Mal and Zoe might be these awful war criminals. You know, he then says, hey, maybe we should just, like, you know, these guys that hired us, we should rob them and abandon them because, you know, you're a crazy man, Mal. Like, you're in for this kind of stuff. And Mal's obviously, no, Jane, we're doing the job. As is Book's not liking the sound of this either. But, you know, the art's very good too because Jane's face has this smug grin as he's saying this stuff. It's really good stuff. It feels very in character for Jane to be saying that. It makes a lot of sense. And then you have the more emotional side where Wash reaction, because Wash, Kaylee, and Inara are still back with the ship, and he ends up calling Zoe on the comms, and they have this conversation where she's like, "Oh, I was going to call you, but you've called me first." And he's like, hey, we'll come out there and help you. And Zoe says, no, don't bring the drop ship. Don't come and get us because a ship will just show up in the radars and it'll tell everyone where we are. So don't do that. But Wash is very concerned. He starts asking if she has enough ammo. Has she had a good breakfast? Are you ready to be a badass? And Zoe, feels like... Because the thing with Mal earlier on is that at one point, Simon's looking for reassurance that what they're saying is false, that what the Unificators are saying is not true. And Mal won't give him an answer. And we actually hear some, like, River in the background is kind of saying, like, random things like fire and blood and burning and ash. And she, it's when she says that we get a flashback to the war and Mal and Zoe are there and it's just all red and it looks like there's a lot of fighting going on and gun blasts and things like that. And then later on, when there's a gunfight in the main plot, Mal has like a flashback on his own where, like, it goes back to the red, and he like fires off a shot as Zoe's screaming "No, stop!" And then it looks like something explodes. We don't have a lot of context for what's happening in this scene in the flashback, but it's just a sense that things did get quite dark, and there is maybe things that both have regrets about, both have regrets over, and. So Mal kind of refuses to answer when he's prompted to be reassuring. Zoe, on the other hand, like almost doesn't Wash just assumes it's false and assures her it's false and says, "No, I don't believe a word they're saying. I know you, Zoe. You don't talk a lot about those war days, but I know you." And it's kind of sweet. I think what this issue gets right the most that I really love, beyond just the general character kind of dialogue and stuff and interactions between a lot of them, is Wash and Zoe's relationship in this. Zoe, the art does a really good job of Zoe getting kind of quiet and, like, almost ashamed to hear Wash, like, say trust that she didn't do anything bad when she maybe thinks she did, or she knows she did, depending on what we learn as we go. And that kind of breaks your heart a little bit. And then there's eventually after, because one of the main sort of action beats of the issue is that the bandits who attacked them last issue and get basically talked down by Mal, when they hear this bulletin that they are war criminals and they're wanted and there's a reward, despite the fact that the leader doesn't want to go back and try and capture them, the rest of the team basically mutiny them. They mutiny. They're mutineers, and they tie him up and they come after Mal and Zoe. So there's a gunfight when they show up, and they there's a gunfight that plays out where Mal has his flashback. Because of the gunfight, Wash and the others do show up in the dropship, and Wash is like, "No, I came anyway, Zoe. We heard gunshots. We came." And Mal and Zoe make this choice that they're going to leave the rest of the group. They're going to say, like, everyone else, everyone else in the crew of the Serenity, you continue the job and take these these pilgrims where they're going. You escort them to their location, to their destination, and we will leave you guys and go elsewhere. Because one of the bandits gets away. Jane tries to snipe him as he's running, but he doesn't quite hit him. So they're going to go after him and then take it from there. So, and it's a very kind of open-ended, like, we might not come back for a while because, it's too dangerous to be around us because it's us the Unificators are after. And Wash tries to talk her out of it, of course. He's like, no, that's too vague. What kind of answer is that? I'm not going to let you go, baby. And, their interactions here really felt like the characters, and it felt really touching, but also hilarious because then Zoe turns around and shoots Wash in the leg. And, Wash, as he's down on the ground and he's bleeding from the leg, shouts, "What the hell, Zoe?" And Mal's like, you two are crazy. And then he's like, "She's the one who shot me." And Zoe just says it's a clean wound, Simon, patch him up. And it's basically just so that Wash can't follow her and stop her. That she can do what she's doing and leave for his safety and the other's safety. And she says, "Because I love you." And then Wash grabs a gun and shoots Zoe in the leg. And Mal shouts out, "What the hell?" And then at the bottom of this page, there's this wide panel of Wash smiling as he looks at her saying, "I love you too." And it's this beautiful, like, almost like only Firefly can do this level of wackiness where it's really touching, despite the fact that the married couple are shooting each other on the leg. It is the most well-intentioned gunshot between spouses I have ever seen in my damn life. And this moment cracked me up. I was laughing out loud when I got to this section of the book, and it was definitely this that put it over the... Because I think the first issue I liked a lot, but it had that thing where it had to feel like Firefly, so it was making a point of like hitting a lot of the beats, right? Almost to the point where it felt kind of like fan fiction, just because it had to get all the things in that feel like Firefly. Whereas this one, it felt like it was actually developing the story with the characters. And it had this between Wash and Zoe that felt very genuine, very sweet, but very hilarious at the same time, which is how their relationship should be pretty much all the time, right? that is them. That is those two characters as a pair. And then you have Mal's apprehension, his seemingly feeling very guilty, and that's being developed. Simon maybe doubting the people that he's with, that's very there. I never mentioned the other funny reaction to this, actually, is the Pilgrims themselves, Mariah, the group they're called, their reaction to the bulletin at the start of the issue, from the end of the last issue, is hilarious as well, because they're actually like squealing with joy. They're, the panel's got their hands up and like, war criminals, this is the best news ever. We're excited by this because, we had our doubts when you let them go last time, but if they come back, you'll murder them like the savages you are. We couldn't be more delighted. And they're kind of squealing like little girls who have just gotten tickets to a boy band they really like. And that was also really funny. I like that too. Our little tidbits here or there. Book at one point when he's talking to Simon. Simon asks do you think they're war criminals? And Book says, I'm of the belief that everyone who's ever been in a war is a war criminal, including myself. But does that mean you should fear them? That's, who's to say? And he then also points out that almost everyone at some point will find themselves in some kind of war. So, what is a war criminal? It's kind of... obviously, it's hinting at Book's kind of past and what he's done, and that he's kind of fighting for redemption and that kind of thing. But so it's a little bit there, but it's definitely there. Again, River like seeing what's in Mal's head, a little bit of her psychic abilities kind of shining through in this issue, and all that. The end of the book, the bandit that ran away, because we have the incident where Wash and Zoe shoot each other, and the bandit who ran away, we see where he eventually gets to, and he gets to somewhere in the desert of the planet, and the ship of the Unificators lands, and like the soldiers all come out and come up to him and say, "Where are they?" So that's the cliffhanger there. They're on the tail, hot on their tail, and they've got this witness who's probably going to be more than delighted to say everything he knows, given what Mal and the crew just did to his team. So that's cool. Speaking of that, actually, Jane had like a ridiculous railgun at one point, because I was expecting to see Vera. If I'm assuming you've seen the show, of course, his favourite gun is called Vera. Instead, we get this ridiculous railgun that's like long and flat, and really intimidating looking. But I mean, hell, it fits Jane's personality though that he'd have this ridiculous gun. He strikes you as that kind of person more often than not, right? I liked issue 2 a lot. I think everything with Mal and Zoe just felt pretty much perfect to me as a fan. Now, I do question if like I don't know if this book works at all if you're not a fan of Firefly, if you've not watched the show, if you've not watched the movie. I don't know if you get anything out of this. So I have like a potential criticism in that I don't know if the beats in this or the character hints in this work for a new person. But at the same time, I don't know if they have to, because is anyone really experiencing Firefly for the first time with this book? A few people might be, but not a lot in the grand scheme of things, I'd have to imagine. But maybe it does work for new people. Maybe I'm just, I'm making assumptions that, already caring about the characters, already like knowing how they should feel, which could almost be a hindrance actually to a writer, because they have to make them feel right. They have to make the characters feel like the characters from the show. But so far, it's done a very good job of that. And like I say, everything with Zoe and watching this was great. The guilt, because obviously the regret of losing the war and like Mal getting over that and coming to terms with that's a big theme of the show in general. And the idea that there's also guilt mixed in with that here that we're kind of digging into is also very interesting. So now that's Firefly issue 2. So I'll be back next month with issue 3. I will also be doing these reviews for the new Buffy comic, the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer is getting a new comic book by Jordi Belair starting in January, so I'll be doing that too. Also worth mentioning, we did a poll recently on the YouTube community tab. If you never look in there, some people get notifications, some people don't. It's a weird thing. Maybe if you click the bell, you'll get the notifications. I'm not sure. But we did a poll to see if anyone was interested in live content. I think there'll be a similar thing to this that I do live, maybe on a weekly or so basis, where I just talk about whatever random comics I've been reading, mixed in with maybe other stuff with like movies and stuff as well. But I think a place to discuss the few random Marvel books that I maybe read and anything I've been catching up on, that kind of thing. But it'll be live, so I can talk to the chat and interact with the viewers and things and do that. I'm just trying to pick what a good time is that can be relatively consistent week to week, so it can become a thing and people know to be there for that time, and we can talk about comics and movies and TV and whatever else. So that's coming soon. I was going to start it early next week, and then I realised that early next week was like Christmas Eve. Cause I was thinking Monday, and I was like, wait, Monday's Christmas Eve. Oh no, let's not do that. Everyone's busy on Christmas Eve. But no, that's Firefly issue 2. I'll be back next month with issue 3. Buffy comic as well next month. I'll get its own video too. So look forward to that. But that is me. And obviously check out Comics from the Multiverse, the main podcast where we talk about all of DC, well, not all of, but most of DC's comics on a weekly basis. So thank you very much, guys. Get us on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV if you want to support the show, the channel, and everything we do here. Get some early content and some other stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates, or at DC Comics Podcast for DC Comics stuff specifically. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. That's me, guys. Thank you very much. I will see you guys next time. Keep shiny, and goodbye.